Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I could take that table. That's better. Thank you. Oh, we read Lilamrita first.
Mm-hmm. And then
where?
There should be.
And how long?
This is up to the reader again.
Oh.
Yes.
Depends how. Okay. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. No. Sorry. The Transcendental Diary by Hari. Sorry. Sri Vrindavan Dham. This means we start here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you always put where it's ended.
I have to read the paragraph before. It won't make sense. If they find out, that's it's just like, who remembers the story from last week?
You jump next to the next story. I was not here, I cannot tell.
So take your country and make it Krishna conscious. Then surely we shall get the government. This is the prediction of a politician. Quote, Krishna consciousness, the Hare Krishna movement, is spreading like an epidemic. That I'm afraid within 10 years they'll take the government. I guess you can't read this in Russia. If this is broadcast in Russia, they'll kick you out, right? If they heard this, isn't it?
But Zelensky would also not do this. Tolerate this.
And China, and like this. You can't distribute this book in those countries. Hare Krishna. Prasadam party, Alex suggested. No, Prabhupada said, thinking of a specific reason. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. That will be the main thing. His grin brightened mischievously. At least they will criticize Hare Krishna and chant Hare Krishna. These Hare Krishna people are very bad. Let's get rid of the Hare Krishnas. The Hare Krishna movement, it's creating problems for our youth. We have to stop the Hare Krishnas. And Prabhupada would say, everyone who reads that article chanted Hare Krishna 4 times. Very good article. One time I met a Muslim. I said, I didn't know he was Muslim. I said, say Hare Krishna. He said, I can't say Hare Krishna because I'm a Muslim. And I started laughing. Hey, you just said it. And he started laughing. Somehow or other, get the poison in. With everyone around laughing and he himself shaking happily at the thought, he told us, that's all we want. It is said that if we respect chanting, chanting is very good. If we respect that chanting is very good, even by neglecting the chant, that is also good. Just like Ajamil, he chanted. He never meant Narayan, he meant his son. In other words, however they chant is good. Hare Krishnas are good, Hare Krishnas are bad. We don't like the Hare Krishna. Oh, you Hare Krishnas, you're crazy. Any way they chant is good. Not for us, for them. You can't say Hare Krishnas, you're crazy, that's an offense. But for them it's not, they don't really know. It is said that if we respect chanting, it is very good. Even by neglecting chanting, that is good. Just like Ajamil, he chanted, he never meant Narayan, he meant his son. But he got the result. Ante Narayana Smriti. At the end of life, you remember Narayan. He never meant that he's calling for Narayan. He did not follow up bhakti. But Narayan took care of it. That now anyway he's chanting Narayan, he must come to Vaikuntha. Hare Krishna. There's a story And one devotee's mother was dying. And the devotee was saying, Krishna will protect you. And right before she died, she said, so where is your Krishna now? And then she died. Hare Krishna. Very nice. And there's a verse, and Prabhupada would often say this. What if when I die, I forget Krishna? And Prabhupada said, if you give your life to Krishna, you may forget him, but he won't forget you. So, Alex produced, so there's a devotee named Alex, he was doing a prasadam business. Alex produced some other, I think that's who it was, produced some other gifts for Srila Prabhupada. Honey from his wife, a present from Vishaka Devi in Los Angeles, and cow ghee from the devotees in San Diego, all of which Prabhupada happily accepted. Alex also had something for me, 2 new power supplies for the Uher cassette recorder. You know, all these morning walks and lectures that were recorded on a German tape recorder, right? Uher? Is that? Yeah. And so to record, you know, it's funny for all of those who are young, but to record Prabhupada in the morning walk, they would bring a tape recorder like this big, and probably like, I don't know, 3-4 kgs they'd have to carry with a microphone to record something. Now you just turn your phone on. Did you know that? It was a big tape recorder. They'd walk around. If you look at a picture, sometimes you'll see. Yeah, around the shoulder, big. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think those were cassette tapes. I think they were reel-to-reel. At least originally they were reel-to-reel tapes. You know, maybe like, yeah, I think. Because, yeah, I don't think that was a cassette. Cassette, you even know what a cassette is? Yeah, if you're over like 50, you know. Yeah. Or maybe cassettes are coming back, I don't know. The first time I saw a cassette recorder was 1972, so I'd already been a devotee for 2 years. And, yeah, and they were like little boxes, like about this big. And you could now get cassettes of Prabhupada's lectures, 1972. So it was just like a new thing. And then like 1974, they got these little small, they call them Sony Walkmans. They were small, like the size of a phone. And then you could just put earphones. That was the beginning, you know, the forerunner of the iPod. But you'd have to have, like, you want to hear all Prabhupada's lectures, you'd have to have like boxes of cassettes.
A few years ago we had still these boxes.
Yeah, I still have boxes. I have boxes. And if you buy an old car, it has a cassette player, not a CD player or USB. Yeah. Anyway. It was late, but as the darshan ended and devotees began to file out, Jagadish announced the arrival of a gentleman, Mr. Saxena from Rajasthan, who before he retired was an inspector of schools. After having met Jagadish through one of our traveling parties, Mr. Saxena has come to Vrindavan on Jagadish's invitation. Jagadish is thinking that he might be suitable as a Hindi teacher for our Gurukula. Despite the hour, Prabhupada greeted Mr. Saxena warmly, and after briefing him on the principles of the Gurukul, told him that there was one underlying principle that was necessary to make it successful. Quote, "You cannot teach others if you are not fixed also. Otherwise, it will be useless. It is useless. Apani Achari Prabhu Jivera Shikainu. That means first behave properly, then teach, or you teach by your behavior. If you are fixed up in principles, then you can teach others that principle. That will be effective. If you smoke, and if you tell others, don't smoke, that is useless. First of all, give up these bad habits. Then you can teach. It will be effective. Hare Krishna. That's okay? Or you want more?
It's always nectar.
Okay, a little more. Now Prabhupada's talking about Gurukula. Prabhupada wants qualified, experienced teachers, but not at the expense of the standards in both philosophy and behavior that must be instilled in the students. Mr. Saxena said something about vidhi, religious regulations. Prabhupada was quick to explain that religion has two aspects. Vidhi is mostly theoretical. Vidhi means rules. And when you practice it, it is jnana, vijnana, you realize it. So jnana means theoretical knowledge, and vijnana means practical application. Mr. Saxena, showing his own limited understanding, asked Prabhupada, is religion a practical knowledge? Prabhupada elaborated patiently. Religion means the law given by God. That is religion. They do not know it. They do not know what God is. They do not know what is the words or order of God. The whole world is like that. They profess some religion, but religion means the law of God. But if they do not know what is God, then how he'll understand the law of God? That means there is no religion, all cheating. Dharma projito kaitavotra. The Bhagavatam rejects all kinds of so-called religious system, accusing that they're all cheating. Cheating, all cheating. If you do not know God, what is the meaning of their religion? It is simply cheating. If you have accepted a style of religion without any understanding of God, then it is simply you have been cheated. And that is going on everywhere. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Caitanya-caritamrita ki jai. Do you know that when Prabhupada came to America on the boat, he said, my only solace is Caitanya-caritamrita. That was the book that he took shelter in. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that Caitanya-caritamrita is so sweet that someday people of the world would learn Bengali just so they could read it once they found out about it. No, we don't have to learn Bengali, but it's interesting. Isn't it? Like sometimes you taste something, it's so good, you want to learn how to cook it, right? So this is so sweet, we want to learn how to read it. We'll learn the whole language just so we can read it. Uh-oh.
What we have it here.
What is it?
17 chapter. 17 chapter.
17 to 20. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So this chapter is titled Pastimes of the Lord in His Youth. And this is text 220. Tomara prasade mora kuchila kumati. Tomara prasade mora kuchila kumati. Eya kripa kariyena tamate rahu bhakti. Eya kripa kariyena tamate rahu bhakti. Sounds like there's one too many syllables. So, usually they don't pronounce the A at the end, like the word kara would be kar. We'll try it. E kripa kar yena tomaragura. Let's see what happens. Tomara prasade mora kuchila kumati. Tomara prasade mora kuchila kumati. E kripa kara yena tomate rahu bhakti. E kripa kara yena tomate rahu bhakti. Tomara prasade mora kuchila kumati. Tomara prasade mora kuchila kumati. E kripa kara yena tomata rahu bhakti. E kripa kara yena tomata rahu bhakti. You want to try to chant? Tomara prasade mora kuchila kumati. Tomara prasade mora kuchila kumati. E kripa kara yena tomate rahu bhakti. E kripa kara yena tomate rahu bhakti.
Tomara prasade mora kuchila kumati.
Tomara prasade mora kuchila kumati.
E kripa kara yena tomate ruhati.
E kripa kara yena tomate rahu bhakti. Tomate rahu bhakti. Tomate rahu bhakti. That's what I have to say. In Bengali, Hare Krishna. Jai. The A's are actually generally pronounced as O. So it's actually Tomor, Pursod, Purshade. And the S's are pronounced SH. So technically speaking, if you're pronouncing Bengali correctly, Tomara, Proshode, Mora, E Krapa, Kor, Jena, Tomate, Rahu Bhakti. Anyway, we don't want to expect you to pronounce that way. Anyone else want to try? Well, they say that if you want to learn the Bengali accent, you take a gulab jamun and put it in your mouth, and you speak like that, because that's how the Bengalis speak. Did you know that? I lived in Mayapur, so I can. It's exactly how they speak. Like there's a gulab jamun in their mouth. Tomara prasade mora kuchilo kumate. E kripa kora jena tomate rahu bhakti. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Hare Krishna. All right. Now nobody's going to want to chant it now after I told you how to do it. Okay. So, translation. Only by your mercy have my bad intentions vanished. Kindly favor me so that my devotion may always be fixed upon you. So who is he talking to? Oh, he's talking to the Qazi. Yeah. So, you could say Lord Chaitanya did some heart surgery on the Qazi. Qazi is a Muslim. He was under the influence of his advisors and others, he tried to stop the Sankirtan movement. I mean, it would be very difficult to be in the presence of Mahaprabhu and not become purified. So, by Mahaprabhu's darshan and words, Qazi's heart is changing. And he's asking for devotion, to be a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Do you know, you may know that, he tried to stop the Sankirtan movement. And you know that famous scene, I think every temple at one point in time has done the play where the mridanga is broken, where the constables of the government of Qazi come and break. So you usually get an old mridanga that's already broken, put a little cloth around it, and then come and break it. Or you have a fake mridanga. So devotees were very upset, obviously, that he was trying to stop the Sankirtan movement. So basically, they wanted to kill him. You could imagine, right? Somebody comes and stops the Sankirtan movement, breaks your mridanga. You know, get pretty angry. They were very angry. And I think in that time and culture, it's kind of like that was the punishment. You just take the law into your hand. And anyway, Mahaprabhu pacified them. He said, no, this is not proper. So he said, we will have a big procession, about 100,000 people kirtan procession, to the Qazi's home, and I will go in and talk to him. So when the Qazi saw the procession, he was actually very afraid. Like, what's going on? 100,000 people coming to kill me. Anyway, Mahaprabhu spoke to him, and as we see, his heart changed, and then he gave an order. Qazi gave an order that never shall, in the Navadvip area, Mayapur area, shall we ever stop the Sankirtan. And to this day, that law is there, because it's a Muslim. Did you know Mayapur is a Muslim area? Did you know that? It's a Muslim government. So to this day, we're allowed to do Sankirtan. It's not, the government will not stop it. The Muslim government will not stop it. So we'll continue reading. Prabhu kahe kadhana magiye tomai Sankirtan avare yoche nahi nadhyaya. The Lord said, I wish to beg you for one favor in charity. You must pledge that this Sankirtan movement will not be checked, at least in the district of Nadia. Text 222. Qazi kahe mora vangshi jatra upajibe Tahaike talakadiva kirtanana padibe. The Qazi said, to as many descendants as take birth in my dynasty, in the future, I give this grave admonition. No one should check the Sankirtan movement. Hare Krishna. Purport. As a result of this grave injunction by the Qazi, even at the present, the descendants of the Qazi's family do not oppose the Sankirtan movement under any circumstances. Even the great Hindu-Muslim riots in neighboring places during the descendants of the Qazi honestly preserve the assurance given by their forefather. Hare Krishna. Text 223. Shuni Prabhu Haribale Upaji Hapani Utila Vaishnava Shabba Kori Hari Dvani. Hari Dvani. Hearing this, the Lord got up chanting, Hari, Hari. Following him, all the other Vaishnavas also got up, chanting the vibration of the holy name. Hari Dvani means the vibration of the holy name. Text 224. Caitanya-caritamrita Prabhu Karila Gamana Sange Chali Aisha Kuji Urashita Mana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went back to perform kirtan, and the Qazi, his mind jubilant, went with him. Wow. The Lord asked the Qazi to go back home. Then the son of Mother Sachi came back to his own home, dancing and dancing. This is the incident concerning the Qazi and the Lord's mercy upon him. Oops. This is the incident concerning the Qazi and the Lord's mercy upon him. Anyone who hears this is also freed from all offenses. Wow. Congratulations. You came to the right place, the right time. Text 227. One day the two brothers, Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, were dancing in the holy house of Srivas Thakur. At that time, a calamity took place. Srivas Thakur's son died. Yet Srivas Thakur was not at all sorry. Text 229. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu caused the dead son to speak about knowledge, and then the two brothers personally became the sons of Srivas Thakur. Okay, let's figure out how that happened. So, Srivas Thakur's son died, and Srivas Thakur didn't say anything. It's like in the middle of the kirtan, or right before or after. His son died, and the kirtan went on just like nothing had happened. And then Lord Chaitanya brought him back to life. It's possible to bring the dead back to life. And it looks like what's being said in this verse, that Srivas Thakur adopted Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya as his sons. But let's see what it means. Purport. This incident is described as follows by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. That's his. Amrita means nectar. Bhashya means commentary. Pravaha, I'm not sure. His nectarian commentary on Caitanya-caritamrita. One night, while Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing with his devotees at the house of Srivas Thakur, one of Srivas Thakur's sons was suffering from some disease, died. Srivas Thakur was so patient, however, that he did not allow anyone to express sorrow by crying, for he did not want the kirtan going on at his house to be disturbed. Thus kirtan continued without a sound of lamentation. But when the kirtan was over, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who could understand the incident, declared, "There must have been some calamity in this house." When he was then informed about the death of Srivas Thakur's son, he expressed his regret, saying, "Why was this news not given to me before?" He went to the place where the son was lying dead and asked him, "My dear boy, why are you leaving the house of Srivas Thakur?" The dead son immediately replied, "I was living in this house as long as I was destined to live here. Now that the time is over, I am going elsewhere according to your direction. I am your eternal servant, a dependent living entity. I must act only according to your desire. Beyond your desire, I cannot do anything. I have no such power." Hearing these words of the dead son, all the members of Srivas Thakur's family received transcendental knowledge. Thus, there was no cause for lamentation. This transcendental knowledge is described in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 13. Tata dehantara praptir diras tatra namuyati. When someone dies, he accepts another body. Therefore, sober persons do not lament. After the discourse between the dead boy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, funeral ceremonies were performed. And Lord Chaitanya assured Srivas Thakur, "You have lost one son, but Nityananda Prabhu and I are your eternal sons." That was a good trade, right? Trade in one son and get Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, become your son. "We shall never be able to give up your company." This is an instance of a transcendental relationship with Krishna. We have eternal transcendental relationships with Krishna as his servants, friends, father, sons, or conjugal lovers. When the same relationships are pervertedly reflected in this material world, we have relationships as the sons, fathers, friends, lovers, masters, or servants of others. But all these relationships are subject to termination within a definite period. If we revive our relationship with Krishna, however, by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our eternal relationship will never break to cause our lamentation. I know you know a lot about the spiritual world. But I think even though we know, we don't know that although it's different, it's not that much different. Because in the spiritual world, they have bodies. They're just not material, but they have bodies, like they walk around. Well, actually, they dance around. And they have relationships. And they have homes. And they eat. Now, they don't work. They don't go to work. Obviously different, but those same activities go on, and those relationships are there. And so, imagine Srila Prabhupada's position as someone who can see the spiritual world and experience that. And then he's talking to us, trying to convince us that the relationships that you're trying to enjoy in this world, they exist there, but in their real form, not in their perverted form. And that whatever you're trying to extract, whatever pleasure you're trying to extract, it exists, it's in its original form. So that means, from Prabhupada's vision, it's like I serve you prasadam, and there's a shadow on the wall of the prasadam, and you face the wall and try to eat the shadow. And I'm looking at you thinking, you can't eat the shadow. It's not going to fill you up. And so Prabhupada's looking at everyone in the material world developing relationships, and for him it's like people trying to enjoy a shadow. And he's trying to convince us. And he has that experience of what that relationship is with Krishna. And how it cannot be imitated in this world. So, I was thinking this morning when I was chanting that I read that in an advanced stage of chanting, you see the pastimes of Krishna. That's what's happening while you're chanting. You actually see, because Krishna is his name, and so wherever Krishna exists, the Leelas exist. So if you're chanting Hare Krishna, and if Krishna is present in his name, that means the pastimes are there. We may not see them, but they're there. Well, I don't know. Maybe some of you are seeing. I can't say, but many of us are not seeing. Yeah. And then it was explained one stage further. You enter the pastimes, so you're not seeing them. You're in them. You're part of the Leela. So I was thinking. Well, I was chanting. I was thinking. Well, if that's true, then it's actually happening, but I just don't realize it. I'm actually in the Leela. So when I chant, I find that it's an opportunity to transcend this world. Because this world is, you know what this world is like. And it's nice to transcend it, isn't it? Yeah, and it's sometimes it's funny. We chant our rounds and we think about all our problems. And think like, why would you want to think about your problems if you're actually with Krishna? You just don't realize it. You're actually with him while you're chanting. Wouldn't it be better to think that actually I'm with him and just like kind of go there, even though I may not see with my eyes or I may not experience that I'm in the Leela, but at least I can imagine I'm in some Leela with Krishna, because the holy name is transcendental. Does that mean it's time for prasadam? Why are the bells ringing at 8:45? Are they having a service or? Oh, starts at 9, so yeah. Okay. Jiv jago, jiv jago. Yeah. So, in many places, Prabhupada would say, whatever relationship you want with Krishna, he'll give you that relationship. Whatever it is you want. It's not like, well, you could say you already have a relationship, is eternally designated, but at the same time, Prabhupada would say, whatever relationship you want, you can have that with Krishna, he'll give that. And that relationship is really what you want. And what we're doing, what we're trying to get here It's not what we want. That's what we want. And you can have, if you want it, like here, Mahaprabhu was saying to Srivas Thakur, we'll be your sons. You can be the father. You want to be our father? We'll be your sons. If that's the relationship you want, you can have that. And then this morning, we read something. Can you read it again? What you read this morning? Can you read it again? That was like amazing. I want to talk about that a little bit. I think it relates to this. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yes. Krishna is everywhere. Simply, you have to catch him. And he also ready for you being caught. Yes, if somebody wants to catch him, suppose you are a devotee, if you want to catch him, he comes forward 10 times than your desire. He's so kind, therefore we have to simply receive him.
Yeah, so that statement, what is it? He's ready to be caught by you? What did Prabhupada say?
He said, and he is also ready for you being caught.
What was the statement before? He's ready to be caught and ready for him, and he's ready to catch you?
Simply you have to catch him, and he is also ready for being caught.
Yeah, he's ready to be caught, yeah. So, I thought that was a beautiful meditation. Krishna is waiting for us to catch him. He's ready to be caught. I'm over here, come, you want me? I'm here, just come and get me. Sometimes we feel like the play we saw, and it's so hard to be Krishna conscious. And that's one, Davyesha Gunamayi, that's one idea. That Krishna has created Maya, seeming insurmountable. But here we have the other idea, the other side. That it's hard to conquer Maya, but Krishna is waiting for us to conquer Maya, to be caught. That's what he really wants. And ye yatamam prapadyante, and Krishna's wanting to reciprocate. And so someone may say, but Maya is so strong. But Maya is also wanting to reciprocate. Have you experienced Maya's reciprocation? You have a little material desire, she magnifies it 10 times. And you have a desire to be Krishna conscious, 10 times he'll help you. Right? So, when you ever say Maya is strong, try to remember this, what Prabhupada said here. Krishna is waiting for you to catch him. That means, Maya strong means we turned our attention away from Krishna. Right? And we've turned our attention to Maya. So then Maya comes. Maya does not come unless we turn our attention to her. And Krishna does not come unless we turn our attention to him. So that's why sometimes Prabhupada would say, it's difficult to become Krishna conscious, but he would say, but it's easy. He would say both things. Like if Krishna is willing to 10 times your desire and 10 times your effort, that sounds pretty easy, right? Like, I hire you to work for me, and whatever I'm doing, you do 10 times as much. That's good, I'll hire you if you can do that. That's a good employee, right? So Krishna is willing to 10 times our effort. So if ever you say, Maya is very strong, then what does that mean? That's where our attention is, right? That's who we're inviting into our life. Maya's willing to be caught by us, and we're willing to catch her. And Krishna's willing to be caught by us, if we're willing to catch him. That's the meaning of yeyatamam prapadyante. So sometimes it seems like reasonable to blame Maya for our problems, right? You ever blame Maya? You're so strong. Leave me alone. Don't bother me. Why you follow me around everywhere I go? Just leave me alone. No. So we should understand that Maya does not arbitrarily attack anybody. She only allures those who want to be allured. If that were not true, none of us could become devotees, right? Because to become a devotee, you had to turn your back on Maya. To become a non-devotee, you had to turn your back on Krishna, right? Yes? And Shastra says, we turned our back on Krishna. Bahir Mukha. That's how we became conditioned souls, by turning our back on Krishna. And how you become a devotee is to turn your back on Maya. Now, obviously, if you turn your back on Maya, now you're facing Krishna. If you turn your back to Krishna, you're facing Maya. Right? So if you turn your back to Krishna and you're facing Maya, then you will chant the mantra, Maya is so strong. And if you turn your back on Maya and face Krishna, you won't chant that mantra because you won't experience that. You'll experience the bliss. You'll just say, Krishna consciousness is blissful. It's wonderful. I love it. And you turn your back on Krishna, you'll say, Maya is so strong. It's that simple. Yeyatamam prapadyante. And it seems, sometimes it may seem like we're being pulled into Maya. And that may be true, but the original decision was made by us. So if you make a decision to face Maya, certainly she'll pull you in. Lust, anger, greed, envy, all these things she'll pull you in. But if you make a decision to turn your back on Maya and face Krishna, those things will subside. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu. Right? If this were not true, there could be no Hare Krishna movement. If this were not true, Prabhupada could not make anyone a devotee. But our jail sentence in the material world only lasts as long as we want to remain in prison. We do a forgiveness workshop and we ask devotees, give an analogy of what your forgiveness, of what your resentment feels like. And often devotees will say, it feels like I walked into a prison cell, I locked the door and I threw the key away. That's a nice description of material life. We walked into this world, we locked ourselves up, birth, old age, disease, and death, and we threw the key away. And we decided, well, let's see if we can be happy in the prison. Yeah, so I think this is an important idea to remember. Krishna consciousness is easy. Krishna consciousness is simple. Krishna consciousness can be not easy and can be very difficult, depending on what direction you're facing. And every time you find it difficult, it means most likely you've turned your back to Krishna and turned your face to Maya, and Maya has invited you to dance. Just as we were saying the other day, I believe we were saying, Krishna is inviting you to dance. Maya is also inviting you. Whose invitation do you want to take? Now, as I was saying the other day, we've taken Maya's invitation pretty much forever. And now you have the opportunity, by Prabhupada's mercy, to take his invitation. What makes sense, obviously, to take his invitation. So our conditioned nature wants to take Maya's invitation because that's our comfort zone. We're used to it. But that is by far the most foolish thing anyone who's met Prabhupada could do. If you haven't met Prabhupada and you're doing something foolish, that's normal. That's expected. It's rare that you wouldn't do it. But if you've met Prabhupada, you have his books, you have his devotees, now you do it. Prabhupada said that's more foolish, and it's more unfortunate than the average person walking on the street. They may be bound by Maya, they may be in ignorance, but they don't have an option until they hear. We have the option, we've heard, and if we do what they're doing, then Prabhupada said we are worse. The other day I was thinking on this topic, because this topic is very important for us. And I was thinking, now that one has become a devotee, and one has the opportunity to be Krishna conscious, if we act like ordinary people, then it's like Krishna consciousness is so valuable, it's so rare, it's so unique. We don't have to act like ordinary people. We're not supposed to act like ordinary people. Right? You have something different. And so, if I just give in to Maya, then I'm doing exactly the same thing as all those people out there are doing. Right? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. I'm just doing what they're doing. So that's great misfortune, don't you think? You don't have to do what they're doing, right? We don't have to do that, and we should not be doing that. One time, a devotee was traveling with Prabhupada, and he was becoming intolerant of a situation that other people were tolerating. And Prabhupada said, everyone is tolerating but you. And so, what makes you a devotee? If you're not tolerating, you're just like ordinary people. You're like ordinary, in this case, worse than ordinary people, because they were tolerating. But Prabhupada was saying, a devotee is tolerant. If you're not tolerant, then what makes you different than anybody else? And I love that story, because it's such a nice question to ask yourself. I'm a devotee. What makes me different than other people? And we can't say, well, I dress differently. No, that's not what makes us different. You can dress, in 2 minutes anyway. That's not the real thing. What makes you different? Consciousness, action, qualities, characteristics. That's what supposed to make us different, right? Yes? Da? Ya? Da? Yes? What other languages do we have here? I can say yes in many languages. How many languages do you speak? Many. Tak, da, si, we. Ja. It's ja in German? Ja. Ja. Ja, good. My grandparents from Austria, so I'm like one of you. I'm one with you. Yeah, Austrians. Wherever Austria was in 1900, I don't even know if it's in the same place, but so it's a nice thought, isn't it? Don't you think? Like, I'm a devotee, what makes me different than everybody else? And if the answer is tilak and a dhoti or a kurta, sorry, that's not the answer. Neck beads, it's not the answer. What makes us different in terms of our behavior? So when I was thinking of this, I was thinking, okay, now, as Prabhupada said, we're on the threshold of deathlessness. We have the opportunity to become Krishna conscious. And if I give in to my lower nature, although I have the opportunity to do something which is so rare. Manushanam Sahasreshu, Krishna says, out of hundreds, thousands. It's so rare. I have the opportunity to do something so rare, and then if I give in to my lower nature, I'm just doing what everybody else is doing. Not only every human, every animal, which makes it really bad. I have the opportunity to be Krishna conscious, and I'm doing the same thing that the dog on the street is doing. That's not good, right? That is unfortunate to the extreme, don't you think? Yeah.
Rishabhadev was pulling at himself and peeing at himself.
Rishabhadev was what?
He was on the platform of other routes, so he was just behaving as a, totally, not innocent, but crazy person. So he was also behaving like an animal, right?
No, not like an animal, because the animal is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And he told his sons, don't live like pigs. Yeah. That was deha bhajami loke kastad kamanarate, do austerity. He was, if someone's living as an avadut, that's a kind of paramhamsa. That's transcendental. It's not. But he told his sons, he said, Nayam deho bhajam miloke, kastad kaman arate. Vidbhuja means pig. He said, don't live like a pig now that you have a human form of life. But do tapasya. Tapo divyam putraka, do divine austerity, my dear sons. Yena sattvam shuddhya yasmad brahma shokam tanantam, and you'll experience transcendental happiness. So don't live like a dog. Don't live like a pig. Worse than a dog. Do austerity. What he was saying was, if a human being lives like a pig, they cannot experience Brahma Sokam, spiritual happiness. Because a dog, this is a good verse, because, okay, if I live like a dog, I'm a human being, I have the opportunity to potentially experience Brahma Sokyam, spiritual happiness. If I live like a dog, I can't. So I'm a human being with potential to experience spiritual happiness, and then I live like an animal, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So all I can experience is what the dog experiences. I can't experience the potential of a human being, transcendental bliss, brahmasokam tvanantam, without limit, which is inconceivable from the material perspective, that there could be happiness without limit, right? So we have that potential to experience that. Or we have the potential, we can live like an animal. A materialistic civilization, right? What is it all about? To be blunt, it's about those four things. Why are people working so hard? To have a nice place to sleep, a nice food to eat, to have nice sex, and to protect themselves from others who would intrude on those three other activities, right? Isn't it? It's basically the name of the game. If you see the logical conclusion of material life, it's money, which is power, sex, which is a subtle form of power, pride, which is a grosser form, or Prabhupada said a subtle form of sex. That's what material life is. And what is spiritual life? Trinadapi Sunichina is the opposite. Austerity, sense control, humility. So we go against the flow of material life, right? Material consciousness. That's what Krishna consciousness is. So Rishabhadev is saying, if you live like an animal, you will only be able to experience what an animal experiences. If you live like a human, do austerity, and then you can experience transcendental bliss without limitation. It's difficult, but the reward is greater. And Maya is easy to fall into, but what is the reward? You know what the reward is. We've all experienced it. Frustration, ultimately, in chewing the chew, trying to enjoy something that caused us frustration. I'll take a different flavor of the same thing and try it and see if that works. That's all it is, isn't it? You ever eat something that wasn't cooked well and it doesn't taste good? Doesn't matter how much you eat, it still doesn't taste any better. Put some salt in it, put some lemon on it, it just tastes bad. And this world is like that. And we're supposed to understand it's like that. You can salt it, you can spice it, put lemon, yogurt on it, it's just not going to taste good. So that intelligence we're supposed to have. And with that intelligence, we can look to Krishna. And then Krishna says, okay, I'm ready to be caught. You can catch me. I'm right here. Let's dance. You want to dance? I'm ready to dance. And we say, can I dance with Maya a little bit today before I dance with you? That's our problem. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions or comments or arguments? Yes.
Thank you for the lecture, first of all. I have one little question about calming the mind. There are so many ways to calm the mind, but is it advisable to do something before chanting or doing chanting like calming the mind?
Yeah. Definitely, before you do any spiritual activity, you should prepare your consciousness for it. When devotees go on the altar, they chant mantras, prepare themselves to go on the altar. Sometimes when we read, we'll say some prayers, just to put it like this is sacred, holy. It's very nice when, before you chant, to just, remind yourself, this is Krishna. I'm now connecting. Whatever's going on in my life, now I put that aside. This is time for Krishna. One of the things I could share with you that it's kind of the essence of the problem that we face in chanting is we don't realize Krishna is in his name because we don't have experience of something being in a sound. Like a sound is a representation of the object. That's our experience. That's what a language is. And now we're confronted with this reality that Krishna's in a sound, and we have no experience of that, and we have no realization. We're chanting a very little realization. And I realized through 20 years of teaching Japa workshops that this is actually the problem that's causing all the other problems. So I sit down to chant. If I realize that now I'm entering in connection with Krishna, he's coming in the holy name, I would prepare myself a little bit, right? Like you're going out on the street, brush your eyebrows a little bit and check your tilak, comb your hair, So I'm going to connect with Krishna, straighten my kurta, do something, right? But we don't realize that. So we just begin chanting. And a lot of times for us chanting is it's just, well, this is what you do at the temple after Mangal Arati. You chant. And if I'm going to get my breakfast and be able to live here, I got to do this, right? Because, this is what we do here, right? And if I've taken initiation, I've got to do this. So if that's the mentality, then when we begin chanting, there's no need to prepare. It's just like, okay, let's get it over with. Just start chanting right away. No prayer. No, that's wasting time. I need to get my rounds done. It's just, it's like if you're going to take a cold shower, just jump in, just do it, get it over with. There's 30 seconds. Get out, So sometimes we do japa like that. Just get it done. Tolerate it. As opposed to This is a relationship with Krishna. And I'm now giving myself to Krishna, so that means that naturally the mind has to be clear of everything else, because now it's time for Krishna. Just as pujaris, when they go on the altar, their minds are clear, and they do the prayers before just to ensure that they're just there. I was telling a story the other day about this devotee distributed 1,112 big books in one day. Big books in one day. I don't know how he did it, like super Prabhu. And he described how he did it. He said, I went into samadhi. It was me, the book, and the person. That's all I saw. My world was only three things. Me, which meant my desire to give the book, and the person, who, in my mind, is going to get a book. He said, that's all I saw for the whole day. Just the book, you, and I'm going to give it to you. And there's nothing else. And so it's the same with japa. What is it? It's me, it's Krishna in the holy name, and that's it. And my heart and my prayer. That's it. That's what it is. So that's what you want to do to prepare yourself before you're chanting. And sometimes I tell devotees, a really nice exercise you can do is if you want to get in the mood and you're thinking, okay, I want to chant in a certain way, I say, chant in your mind that way. Just chant. Don't say anything. Just chant in your mind. And when you finally get there, then start chanting out loud. Say, now I've arrived. I'm in the right mood. I'm feeling it, Okay, now start chanting. That at least we should do, because why start off on the wrong foot? I think a lot of us start off on the wrong foot and we think, well, maybe by the time I chant 8 rounds, I'll get on the right foot. I'll start on the wrong foot. Why not start on the right foot in the first place? Why not chant on the first beat properly? So yes, preparation is important. Preparing our consciousness. What do we do when we take prasadam? We prepare our consciousness. I'm not just eating, but this is Krishna prasadam, and Krishna is happy that I eat his prasadam. The Guru is happy, Chaturveda, Sri Bhagavan. He's happy when I eat prasadam. Krishna's happy to give me this something. I'm not the enjoyer, but Krishna's letting me enjoy this because he's enjoyed it first, so now I can enjoy it. All this, okay. It's calming the dog inside who just wants to, right? Isn't it? I'm hungry, let's eat, So we calm ourselves, we prepare ourselves. Devotees go on Sankirtan, they'll pray, Prabhupada, it's all about preparation. I mean, when you're more advanced, you're already there. When you're more advanced, 24/7, you're already there. There's nothing to prepare for. But until then, everything in Krishna consciousness, prepare. You're married, you want to have children, 50 rounds, prepare, You don't just do it. We don't just... So we have eating, sleeping, go to bed, pray to Prabhupada, pray to your spiritual master before you take rest. Wake up in the morning, Krishna, get me through this day, I hope I don't do anything stupid, please protect me. It's all... Devotional service is always about preparing ourselves for the task. And this is the most important task, and therefore it seems strange that we don't prepare ourselves. A lot of devotees don't prepare. Isn't it? Strange. The most important thing we don't prepare for. Thank you. That was a good question. If you want to come to Slovenia, we have 6 days to talk about japa. 1 day for 64, 1 or 2 days, 64. Starting on Tuesday, yeah. You're all invited. If there's room for you. I don't know if there's room left for you, but if you want to come. But I have created some recordings of preparing guided meditations to prepare. And it's basically the preparation is just, I would call it decompressing your life. Like, now I'm going, you imagine going back to Godhead and and you finally enter the spiritual world and you see Krishna and you're thinking about all the problems you have in the material world, That would be like impossible. Can't imagine we would think that way, right? That's what we're doing when we're chanting. We're entering the spiritual world, but we're bringing our suitcase with us, with all the problems. Not problems, just business of this world. So when you go back to Godhead, don't bring your suitcase. So when you chant japa, everything in the suitcase. The guided meditation is take your life, put it in the suitcase, close it, put it in another room. When you finish your japa, you can go back to your suitcase. Don't bring it into your japa. It's not necessary. Not only is it not necessary, it ruins it. You're in Leela with Krishna and you look at it, oh my God, in 3 hours I'm going to have to go shopping. I better make my shopping list now. I don't think you would do that. Would you? I hope not. And if you can enter into that, then your japa will take you to another level. And I could just give you some advice based on my experience, and you probably already have this experience, but if you want to remain steady in devotional service and advance, you have to act in a way in which you can access at least a significant amount of spiritual realization and spiritual bliss. Because that will always keep you up, it will keep you thinking, yeah, this is what I want. This is nectar. I want this. So if we're not doing our service, or we don't have a proper mentality for service, if we're not hearing and chanting enough, if we're not chanting properly our rounds, we don't get that. We get kind of like the external aspect of it, like licking the honey bottle. And maybe a little honey dripped on the side, but it's not like the honey in the middle. So you might get a little. You can't go on like that. Then Maya will come and go, hey, big boy, I got something better for you. And you're like, yeah, this chanting japa, it tastes like dry crackers that were burnt and they're like 20 years old. I don't know if I can do it another day. Hey, big boy, come with me. I've got nectar for you. Whereas if you're experiencing bliss and Maya comes, it's like, no problem. I'm not interested. So that's why it's so important. And often especially younger devotees, they ask, why do devotees leave Krishna consciousness? Why do they fall down? And really, it's the lack of taste. It could be due to offense and then lack of taste, or just being slack in your sadhana, in your service, having the wrong mentality. But in some way, there's a lack of taste. If the taste is there, why would they leave? I think, we all have that experience on some level, isn't it? And what entices me is knowing that there's this ocean of nectar, it's just over there and you can access it. And there's an ocean of poison on the other side, and if I don't access the nectar, I'm going to think there's some nectar in the ocean of poison, because that ocean of poison has some drops of nectar. And Maya gives you a little drop, and then she gives you the poison. And that little drop keeps you coming back for more, right? So even though I've suffered, I got a little nectar, and that keeps me going, right? Just like when Hiranyakashipu was fighting with Lord Nrsimhadev let him win a little bit. So Maya lets you win a little bit, and then slaps you. Come on, you won. It's good. You're not gambling. Hey, you won. Yeah, I won. I just lost $1 million, but I won 5. Oh, I won 5. Maybe I can win. So that's how Maya works. So I said yesterday, Prabhupada said, you are in a very dangerous position if you don't read my books, because in Prabhupada's books, he explains all this. So you won't get bewildered. When you start to get bewildered, no, you just read. Oh, this is what's happening. Maya's putting her smoke in front of your eyes. Oh, that's what's happening. Okay, now I know. I won't go there. But if we don't have the books, we go there. And then we go back and experience. You will experience everything you experienced before you were a devotee. just to let you know, nothing changed out there. It actually got worse. While you were here in the temple, things got worse out there. So if you go back, it's not going to be any better. It's going to be exactly the same, because that's the nature of Maya. It's always the same. Right? No, Prabhu, but they got the new iPhone. It's different. Yeah, right. It's not that different. It's just matter. One beautiful thought that can help you a lot is that if we can always remember that no matter how attractive the material world is, it's still matter. And matter cannot satisfy you. You're a spiritual being. The matter may be beautiful, it may be your favorite color, it may be your favorite fragrance, but always remember it's still matter, and your spirit, and matter cannot satisfy you. A better form of matter is just like adding salt and lemon to a bad sabji. It still can't satisfy you. Your spirit soul, only Krishna will satisfy you. And so you have Krishna, so nothing material can satisfy you. It might look better and you think, but this looks like it can satisfy me. Always remember, no, it's just material. It's a different form of matter, and matter cannot satisfy you. It's impossible. Even, it's the thing you always wanted. It's still matter, right? Whatever your particular, what if it's a fast car, or an expensive suit, or a beautiful this, or a vacation here, or whatever it is, it's still matter, and ultimately it will leave you hankering for more, because it can't satisfy you. Do you know that the greatest depression happens with the most successful and wealthy people? Because when you finally fulfill your illusion that this will make you happy, and it doesn't, it causes depression, because there's nowhere to go, because you achieved it. If you're down here with nothing, you think, I want to be up there, I'll be happy, you're not depressed because you have hope, you'll be happy. But when you get there, and it doesn't work, you have nowhere to go. That's where the depression hits, like, what do I do now? So it's important to remember. It's still, always remember, no matter how beautiful, here's the mantra for today, no matter how beautiful it is, it's still matter. And matter cannot satisfy you. Right? It's just very beautiful, but it's, sometimes a man and woman fall in love, and all their friends say, he's the wrong one. And you're like, I know, but he's got big muscles and blue eyes. And he's funny. No, he's the wrong one. He's a bum. He's irresponsible. I know, but... So that's like this form of Maya, is like, this is special. And the intelligence is like, it shuts off. Right? So if we remember, no matter how beautiful it is, it's still matter. Like so many devotees, when they get married, they become disappointed because they thought it was going to be like transcendental to the three modes of nature. It's anything but transcendental to the three modes of nature, I can tell you. It's like a little more of the three modes. But, you think this is the thing that's going to make me happy. It'll make you happy if you engage devotional service. But the material side, we have these big hopes and expectations. And even you have a good marriage and everything is great, but still you'll have the realization, it's still matter. It's just a man or it's just a woman. It's not Krishna. It's just a house. It's not Krishna. It's just money. It's not Krishna. You'll have that realization. No matter how much of it you have, I have a friend who's got so much money he doesn't know what to do with it. It's not like he's happier than anybody else, It's like, more zeros in your bank. At the end of your bank balance doesn't really do much if you don't have Krishna. So it's important to understand. And then if you understand that deeply, then you will become Krishna conscious. Kamini is here. She does something really funny. She makes comments, but the comments are what I say, And then I'll read it, and I'll say, who said that? And she said, you just said that 10 minutes ago. It's like Krishna sometimes causes me to say something and I don't remember saying. So she's repeating the thing she likes. Maya lets you win a little bit and then slaps you. Yeah. No matter how beautiful it is, it's still material, matter. And matter cannot satisfy you. You're a spirit, so only Krishna can satisfy you. Yeah. I mean, don't we all have this experience? Yes. How many times do we need this experience to realize it's only Krishna? But even though we know this, if we're not chanting well, if we're not tasting Krishna, that relationship, Maya's going to be she's going to easily get us. You know how advertising works? You know the ads. You're a loser. You don't have this product. You can't be happy. You're not getting any girlfriends unless you use this product, Isn't it? You have to wear these shoes and all the girls will come running after you, right? Basically the ad is saying, you're a loser until you have this product. Isn't it? More or less. Yeah. So, Maya's doing the same thing. Hey, loser. Trying to be a devotee. You're just suffering. You're just chewing burnt crackers every morning, Get a life, Come with me, I've got things for you. That's what Maya's going to say. Hare Krishna. All right, I better stop now, because if I don't stop now, we'll be fasting all day. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.
His Grace Mahatma Prabhu ki jai.
Go Ranga.